A homeless girl gave coins to a billionaire inside a convenience store and asked, "Can you play for me? I'm hungry, but I'd rather believe in a miracle to save my mom." What happens next is unbelievable. Derek pushed open the door of the convenience store in a hurry. The day had been chaos since 7 in the morning. 3 cancelled meetings, a contract that needed an urgent review, and an international call that couldn't be delayed. At 37, he had built a financial empire based on one simple rule: time is money. The line was moving slowly. It always moved slowly in these places. Derek checked his watch, a Rolex he bought to celebrate his first million, and sighed impatiently. 4 people in front of him, maybe 6 minutes. He could handle 6 minutes. He was busy on his phone, answering emails, when a small but firm voice cut through the air beside him. "Can you play for me? I'm hungry, but I'd rather believe in a miracle to save my mom." Derek stopped typing and looked down. A little girl was standing next to him, holding a few coins in her hand. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old, with messy brown hair and clothes that had seen better days. But what was most striking were her eyes, large, dark, and filled with a determination that didn't match her age. What had just happened was unbelievable. Derek was completely speechless. In all his years, no one had ever approached him like that. The girl's sentence echoed in his head, each word carrying a weight he couldn't explain. "What did you say?" Derek asked, putting his phone away and turning to face her completely. "Can you play the lottery for me?" the girl repeated, holding up the coins. "I wanted to play, but I don't have enough money, and—" She paused for a second, as if gathering her courage. "My mom is very sick. She needs a miracle." Derek felt something strange happen in his chest, a feeling he hadn't felt in years, as if something inside him was being nudged, awakened from a very long sleep. "How old are you?" he asked. 5. "And where are your parents? My mum's at home. She—" The girl looked down for a moment. "She can't get out of bed anymore. And my dad—" "I don't have a dad." The answer came without self-pity, just as a fact. Derek looked around, searching for an adult who might be responsible for the child, but he saw no one paying them any attention. "What's your name?" "Nora." "And you?" "Derek." "Nora, explain something to me. Do you really believe a lottery ticket will help your mum?" Nora nodded with a conviction that left Derek impressed. "My grandma always said that when all seems lost, you have to believe in something. She said miracles exist, but you need to take the first step for them to happen." Derek was silent for a few seconds. When was the last time someone had talked to him about miracles? When was the last time he himself had believed in anything beyond numbers and reports? "Why didn't you use this money to buy food?" Derek asked, pointing to the coins in her hand. "Because—" Nora hesitated. "Because I'm hungry, but my mum is dying, and I thought that maybe if I believed in a miracle first, the other things would work themselves out too." The sentence hit Derek like a punch to the gut. A 5-year-old child choosing to believe in hope instead of satisfying her own hunger. It was unbelievable. The line moved, and now Derek was next. He looked at Nora, who was still holding out the coins toward him, and made a decision that even he couldn't explain. "Keep your money," he said, gently pushing her hand down. "But I'll play for you. What numbers do you want?" Nora's eyes lit up as if someone had turned on a light inside them. "I can pick any you want." She closed her eyes and concentrated for a few seconds, as if consulting some invisible force. 3, 7, 12, 21, 35, and 42. Derek frowned. "Do these numbers have any special meaning?" "All of them," Nora said, opening her eyes. 3 is how old I was when my grandma died. 7 is how many years older my mom is than me. 12 is the day I was born. 21 is the age she was when I was born. 35 is how old she is now. And 42... Nora smiled for the first time since she had approached him. "That's the age I want her to be on my birthday next year." Derek felt a lump in his throat. He turned to the clerk and bought the ticket with the numbers Nora had chosen. Each number carried the story of a life, of the hopes and dreams of a child who still believed in miracles. When he received the slip of paper, Derek looked at it for a long moment. It was just an ordinary ticket, but somehow it seemed to carry much more weight than it should. "There you go," he said, showing the ticket to Nora. "Thank you so much," she said, holding out the coins again. "No," Derek shook his head. "Keep that money. And come with me." "Where to?" "You said you're hungry, right? Let's get something to eat." Nora hesitated. "You're not a bad person, are you?" The question broke Derek's heart. A 5-year-old child who had already learned to be afraid of strangers. "I'm not a bad person, I promise. I just want to get you a snack before you go home." Derek took her to a small diner 2 blocks away. Nora ordered a ham and cheese sandwich and an apple juice. Derek ordered only a coffee, but could barely drink it. He was fascinated watching the girl. She ate slowly, politely, savoring each bite as if it was something precious. There was nothing desperate in her movements, despite having admitted she was hungry. "Did your mom teach you to behave like this?" Derek asked. Nora nodded, swallowing a piece of the sandwich. "She always says that no matter how little we have, we can always have dignity. That people can take everything from us, except the way we carry ourselves." Derek was impressed. It was a life lesson that many wealthy people he knew had yet to learn. "Tell me more about your mom," Derek said. "She's the bravest person I know," Nora said, her eyes shining. "Even when she's sick, she always tries to make me smile. She makes funny voices when she reads stories to me and invents games we can play without leaving the bed. Yesterday she said that when she gets better, she'll teach me how to make my grandma's chocolate cake." "And you believe she'll get better?" "I have to believe," Nora said simply. "If I don't believe, who will believe for her?" Derek felt something stirring in his chest again. When Nora finished eating, he paid the bill and they went back to the street. The girl seemed more cheerful now, with a little more color in her cheeks. "Thank you so much for the snack," she said. "It's been a while since I had something so delicious." Derek took the lottery ticket out of his pocket and held it out to Nora. "This is yours," he said. "But you paid for it. And you chose the numbers. Besides," Derek paused, searching for the right words, "I think you deserve this miracle more than anyone I know." Nora took the ticket very carefully, as if it were made of crystal. "It's not just about winning money," she said, looking at Derek. "It's about having something to believe in. My grandma used to say that sometimes we need a symbol of hope, even if it's just a piece of paper." "Then keep it safe," Derek said, "as a symbol of hope." Nora folded the ticket carefully and put it in her pants pocket. "You changed my day," she said, looking at Derek with those big, serious eyes. "Thank you for believing with me." Derek couldn't answer immediately. It had been so long since someone had thanked him for something that truly mattered. "Take good care of your mom," he said finally. "I always do," Nora replied. "And you'll be okay too, right?" The question caught Derek by surprise. No one had worried about his well-being in a long time. "I'll be okay," he said. Nora smiled and turned to leave. Derek stood on the sidewalk, watching the small figure walk away until she disappeared around a corner. Only then did he realize he had completely forgotten about the emails, the meetings, and the international call. For the first time in years, Derek Harper had found something that touched him more deeply than any business deal. And he had no idea what to do with this discovery. Derek got home that night and did something he hadn't done in years. He forgot to check his emails. He lived in a penthouse in the city center, 3,000 square feet of pure luxury, with a panoramic view and furniture that cost more than what many people earned in a year. But that night, for the first time, the place felt too empty. He sat on the Italian leather sofa, and all he could see were Nora's big, serious eyes. Her voice echoed in his head. "Can you play for me? I'm hungry, but I'd rather believe in a miracle to save my mom." Derek poured himself an expensive whiskey, but could barely drink it. How could a 5-year-old child have so much faith, so much certainty that things could work out, even when everything seemed lost? He tried to focus on his work papers, but the words seemed to blur on the page. His mind kept returning to the same image. Nora eating that sandwich politely, savoring each bite as if it were the most precious thing in the world. "So I'd rather believe in a miracle." Derek shook his head. When was the last time he had believed in anything besides numbers and profits? When was the last time he had done something for someone without expecting anything in return? The truth was harsh. He couldn't remember. Derek had built an empire, accumulated more money than he could spend in several lifetimes. But what had he really done with it all? Bought expensive apartments, luxury cars, designer clothes. To impress whom? He looked around the apartment. Total silence. No sounds of life, no laughter, no conversation. Just the hum of the air conditioning and the traffic far below. The loneliness hit him like a cold wave. Derek had always thought he was fine alone. That loneliness was just the price of success. Men like him didn't have time for lasting relationships or families. They had businesses to run, money to make. But that night, after meeting Nora, the loneliness felt different, heavy, suffocating. As if he were living in a glass dome, watching life happen on the outside without being able to truly touch it. He went to the window. The city stretched out before him, millions of lights twinkling in the darkness. Each light represented a life, a story, a family. And there he was, alone at the top of his skyscraper, isolated from it all. That's when the memories started to come back. Derek tried to push them away, as he always did, but this time they were stronger. Maybe because Nora had awakened something inside him that had been dormant for decades. He saw himself at 5 years old, the same age as Nora. He remembered the small, damp apartment where he lived with his mother, in a neighborhood where sirens blared every night and the smell of mold never left the walls. He remembered his mother coming home after working double shifts, so tired she could barely stand. She cleaned offices during the day and worked as a waitress at night, but even so, the money was never enough. Derek remembered the nights they shared a can of soup for dinner, and how his mother always said she wasn't hungry, so he could have more. He remembered going to school with an empty stomach and making excuses to not participate in activities that cost money. But what hurt the most were the winter nights. The apartment's heating was always broken, and they didn't have the money to fix it. Derek remembered sleeping huddled with his mother to keep warm, feeling her body shiver from the cold. She never complained, never cried in front of him, but Derek knew she was suffering. He remembered one specific night when he was 6. His mother had a high fever, but they had no money for medicine. She stayed up all night, shivering and sweating, and Derek sat beside her, not knowing how to help. The next morning, she got up and went to work anyway. Derek closed his eyes, feeling that familiar tightness in his chest. He had spent years trying to forget that time, building a new life where he would never have to worry about money or security again. But now, thinking of Nora, it all came rushing back. She was living exactly what he had lived. The hunger, the fear, the uncertainty, the feeling of being too small in a world that was too big, the responsibility of caring for someone who was sick, despite being just a child. Derek understood that little girl's pain in a way that perhaps no one else could. He knew what it was like to wake up in the morning not knowing if there would be food at the end of the day. He knew what it was like to see the most important person in the world suffering and not being able to do anything to help. But there was a difference between him and Nora. Derek had lost his faith very early on. He had learned that the world was cruel and that he could only count on himself. He had built walls around his heart to never feel that vulnerability again. Nora, on the other hand, still believed in miracles. Even with all the pain, all the difficulty, she still had hope. She still believed that things could work out. She still chose faith over cynicism. And that moved Derek in a way he couldn't explain. He spent the whole night awake, thinking. He tried to work, tried to watch TV, tried to read, but nothing worked. Nora was there in his head, like a song that refuses to leave. When the sun came up, Derek made a decision. He couldn't stop thinking about her, because he knew he couldn't just leave things as they were. He couldn't simply go back to his usual life and pretend that encounter had never happened. Nora had shown him something that had been lost for a long time, the ability to truly care for another person, to feel empathy, to want to help, not for self-interest, but simply because it was the right thing to do. Derek looked at himself in the bathroom mirror. The man looking back was successful, rich, respected, but he was also lonely, empty, disconnected from everything that truly mattered. He didn't want to be that person anymore. For years, Derek had used his difficult childhood as fuel for his success. He had promised himself that he would never be poor again, never be vulnerable again. But now he realized there was something more important he could do with his story. Use it to help someone who was going through the same thing. Derek didn't know exactly where to find Nora, but he knew he had to try. Not to give her more food or money, but to offer something she might need even more: presence, someone who cared, someone who understood. He wanted to show her that she wasn't alone, that there were people in the world who cared about what happened to her and her mother, that the miracle she was waiting for might have already begun. Derek got dressed and left his home with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. For the first time in decades, he wasn't thinking about making money or closing deals. He was thinking about changing a life, and maybe in the process changing his own as well. Derek spent 3 days looking for Nora. He went back to the convenience store several times, asked in nearby shops, and walked the downtown streets until he knew every corner. Some people gave him strange looks. A man in an expensive suit walking slowly along the sidewalks, looking intently at every child who passed by. On the morning of the 4th day, when Derek was about to give up, he saw her. Nora was sitting on the ground next to a fruit stand, her legs crossed, with a piece of dry bread in her hands. She was breaking off small pieces and tossing them to a group of pigeons flocking around her. The birds pecked at the crumbs greedily, and she watched with a small but genuine smile. Derek stopped a few feet away, just watching. Nora was wearing the same clothes from days ago, perhaps a little dirtier, and her hair was still messy. But there was something peaceful about the scene, the girl sharing her food with the pigeons, even though it was probably all she had to eat. He approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Hi, Nora." She looked up, and for a moment, Derek saw confusion on her face. Then recognition dawned, and her eyes lit up. "Derek," she said, getting up quickly. "You came back." "I came back," he said, crouching down to her level. "How are you?" "Fine," Nora answered automatically, but Derek noticed she looked thinner than a few days ago. "Can I sit with you?" Nora nodded, and they sat on the ground, leaning against the wall of the shop. The pigeons continued to peck at the breadcrumbs, making small, satisfied noises. "Do you like feeding the pigeons?" Derek asked. "I do," Nora said, tossing another small piece of bread. "They always seem so hungry and—" She paused. "Sometimes it's nice to have company, even if it's just birds." Derek felt that familiar tightness in his chest. A 5-year-old child talking about loneliness so naturally. "Nora, I need to tell you something," Derek said, taking a deep breath. "I haven't stopped thinking about you since that day at the convenience store." She looked at him with curiosity. "Why?" "Because—" Derek searched for the right words. "Because you reminded me of a time in my life that I tried to forget." "What time?" Derek looked at the pigeons for a moment, gathering the courage to talk about something he had never told anyone. "When I was your age, I was poor too, very poor." Nora frowned. "But you're rich. You bought that lottery ticket without a second thought." "I'm rich now," Derek said. "But it wasn't always like this. When I was little, my mom and I lived in a very small apartment. She worked all day, but we could still barely pay the rent." Nora was quiet, paying attention to every word. "I know exactly what it's like to be hungry," Derek continued. "I know what it's like to go to bed with an empty stomach. I know what it's like to see your mom crying because she doesn't have money for food or medicine." "Your mom cried?" Nora asked in a low voice. "Sometimes. She tried to hide it from me, but I knew. I could see it in her eyes when she was worried, the same way I see it in your eyes now." Nora looked down, fiddling with the leftover breadcrumbs. "It's hard," she said simply. "I know it is," Derek said. "It's very hard to be a kid and feel responsible for taking care of someone you love. It's hard not knowing what tomorrow will bring." "How did you get out of that situation?" Nora asked, looking up again. "I studied hard. I worked hard. I did everything I could to never have to go through that again," Derek said. "But you know what I discovered?" "What?" "That having money solves a lot of problems, but it doesn't solve everything. And that sometimes, when you get too focused on never being poor again, you forget how important it is to help other people." Nora nodded as if she understood perfectly. So you came looking for me because you remembered your childhood. I came looking for you because you showed me something I had lost, Derek said. You showed me what it's like to have faith, what it's like to believe that things can work out, even when everything seems impossible. My grandma always said that faith is the last thing you lose, Nora said. That even when there's nothing left, there's always hope. Derek smiled. Your grandma was a wise woman. She was, Nora said with a small sadness in her voice. She died when I was 3, but my mum always repeats the things she used to say. And your mum? How is she? Nora sighed. Today she was a little better. She managed to have some soup, but she stopped. But I know she's pretending to be better, so I don't worry. The same way I pretend I'm not scared. Derek felt his heart ache. The maturity of this child was heartbreaking. Nora, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be completely honest with me. Okay, will you let me help you? For real? Nora looked at him for a long moment. Help how? In any way you need. With food, with medicine for your mom, with whatever you need. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because I care. Because you reminded me how important it is to care about other people. Nora's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. You would really do that? She asked, her voice trembling. I would, and I will. Nora threw herself into Derek's arms, hugging him tightly. He felt her small body trembling and realized she was crying. Thank you, she whispered against his chest. I was so scared that my mum, that I wouldn't be able to take care of her alone. Derek hugged her back, feeling something he hadn't felt in decades, the feeling that he was doing the right thing, that his life finally had a purpose beyond making money. You're not alone anymore, he said, his voice firm. I promise you're not alone anymore. They stayed like that for a few minutes, hugging while the pigeons continued to peck at the crumbs around them. When Nora finally pulled away, her eyes were shining, not just with tears, but with something Derek took a moment to recognize. It was relief. It was gratitude. It was the happiness of someone who has just discovered they don't have to carry the world on their shoulders alone. Do you want to meet my mum? Nora asked, wiping her face with her hands. Derek nodded. Of course, I do. She'll like you, Nora said, with a smile that completely transformed her face. She always says you can recognize good people by the way they look into your eyes. And you have kind eyes. Derek smiled back, feeling something warm spreading through his chest. It had been so long since someone had called him a good person that he had forgotten how comforting it was to hear. Then let's go, he said, getting up and extending his hand to Nora. Let's go meet this special mother who raised such a brave daughter. Nora took his hand with complete trust, without a hint of suspicion or fear. It was the pure trust of a child who had finally found someone she could believe in. And in that moment, Derek knew his life had changed forever. Nora led Derek through the downtown streets, walking with small but determined steps. They left the commercial area and entered a neighborhood where the buildings became older and more cramped. Derek noticed how the landscape gradually changed. The shops gave way to small businesses. The sidewalks became narrower and cracked, and the traffic of expensive cars dwindled. Is it far? Derek asked, more to make conversation than out of hurry. Not too far, Nora replied. About a 15-minute walk. I walk this way every day when I come downtown. Derek frowned. You come downtown every day? Almost every day. Sometimes people give me some coins. Sometimes someone offers me food. And there are the pigeons too, she smiled. They're always there. Derek felt a pang in his chest, imagining this small child making this journey alone every day, looking for a way to get food or money to help her mother. They continued walking. Derek observed everything around him, the small houses packed together, clothes hanging from windows, the sound of TVs and conversations leaking through thin walls. It wasn't exactly a slum, but it was clearly a neighborhood where people with little money tried to survive. My mum doesn't know I come downtown, Nora said suddenly. She doesn't. I tell her I'm going to play in the park nearby. If she knew I came all the way downtown, she'd be very worried, and she already worries too much about everything. Derek stopped walking for a moment. Nora, do you lie to your mum? Nora stopped too and looked at him seriously. I don't lie, I just don't tell her some things, just like she does with me. What do you mean? She pretends she's not in pain when I know she is. She pretends she ate when I know she hasn't eaten anything. She pretends everything is okay when I know it's not. So I also pretend some things to not make her more worried. Derek was impressed by the maturity of her answer. A 5-year-old child who had already learned about the small sacrifices we make for the people we love. You're very smart, Derek said. My mum says I take after my grandma, Nora said, starting to walk again. She said Grandma Elena was the smartest person she knew. Elena, Derek repeated. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. Yeah, she died last year. That's when my mom started getting sick. I think she got really sad. They turned a corner onto an even narrower street. The houses were small, most of them painted long ago, with simple iron gates. Nora stopped in front of a small, faded blue house. This is it, she said, opening the gate, which made a loud creaking noise. Derek looked at the house. It was tiny, probably no more than 400 square feet. The paint was peeling, the front walk was cracked, and one of the windows had a broken pane covered with cardboard and tape. Mom! Nora shouted, opening the front door. I brought a visitor. Derek followed Nora into the house. What he saw made his stomach clench. It was a small room that served as both a living room and a bedroom. On the floor was an old mattress where a woman lay, covered with a few patched blankets. The furniture was minimal, a plastic table, 2 well-worn wooden chairs, and a small old television on top of a crate. The woman on the mattress tried to sit up as they entered. Derek saw that she was young, probably in her early 30s, but her illness had left her very thin and pale. Still, she had beautiful eyes and a gentle smile. Hi, Mom, Nora said, running to her. This is Derek. Remember I told you about him? The man who helped me with the lottery ticket. Monica, Derek assumed that was her name, looked at him with surprise. You're... She started to say, but was interrupted by a coughing fit. Derek approached and crouched beside the mattress. Hi, I'm Derek. Your daughter has told me a lot about you. Monica smiled, still coughing a little. She's talked about you too, said you were very kind to her. Thank you so much for that. No need to thank me, Derek said. Actually, she's the one who helped me. Monica frowned, confused, but before she could ask anything, Nora interjected. Mom, Derek knows what it's like to be poor. He told me that when he was little, he was hungry and everything too. Monica looked at Derek with renewed interest. Is that true? It is, Derek confirmed. And I came here because I want to help you both. If you'll let me. Monica was silent for a moment, studying Derek's face. You seem like a good person, she said finally. But we don't need charity. We'll be fine. Derek was about to reply when something on the wall behind Monica caught his eye. It was a small photo in a simple frame, nailed to the wall. Derek stood up and walked closer to the photo, feeling a strange sensation in his chest. In the photo, a middle-aged woman was smiling at the camera, holding a small child on her lap. The woman had graying hair and kind eyes. The child was a boy of about 4. Derek felt the world stop. He knew that photo. He was the child in the photo. Where did you get this photo? Derek asked, his voice strange. Monica and Nora looked where he was pointing. That's my mother, Monica said. Elena. That photo was taken a long time ago, when she worked as a nanny for a rich family. She always said that taking care of that little boy was one of the most special jobs of her life. Derek felt his legs go weak. He sat down heavily on one of the wooden chairs. It can't be, he muttered. Derek, are you okay? Nora asked, coming closer to him. Derek looked at Monica, then at Nora, then back at the photo. Elena Morales, he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Monica's eyes widened. How do you know my mother's last name? Derek ran a hand over his face, trying to process what was happening. Because I'm the boy in the photo. Elena was my nanny from when I was 3 until I was 7. The silence that followed was absolute. Monica stared at Derek, as if he were a ghost. Nora looked from one to the other, trying to understand what was happening. "That's not possible," Monica said finally. "It is possible," Derek said, getting up and going to the photo again. "I remember this picture being taken. It was in my room. Elena always said I was like a son to her." Derek Harper?" Monica asked, her voice faint. Derek turned to her, surprised. "You know my last name?" "My mother talked about you," Monica said, tears starting to form in her eyes. "She talked a lot. She said you were the sweetest boy she had ever known, that she loved you as if you were her own grandson." Derek felt his own tears starting to fall. She was the most important person in my childhood. When my mother worked, Elena took care of me. She bathed me, fed me, told me stories. His voice broke. "She saved me." Monica began to cry openly now. "She never forgot you. Even after you moved away, she always talked about you, always wondered how you were, if you were okay, if you were happy." "You moved?" asked Nora, who was following the conversation with wide eyes. Derek sat down again, closer to Monica this time. "When I turned 8, we managed to leave the neighborhood where we lived. My mom got a better job, and we moved. I never saw Elena again after that. I always wanted to look for her, but..." He shook his head. "But life got busy and I ended up forgetting." "She didn't forget," Monica said. "Until the end of her life, she kept this photo and talked about you." Derek looked around the precarious little house, then at the sick Monica on the mattress, then at Nora, who was still trying to understand the whole situation. "The woman who saved me was your mother," Derek said, more to himself than to them. "And now you two are..." He couldn't finish the sentence. "My grandma knew you?" Nora asked, moving closer to Derek. "Your grandma raised me," Derek said, taking Nora's small hands in his. "She taught me to be kind. She taught me to share. She taught me that good people take care of each other." Nora smiled through the tears that began to fall. "So that's why you're a good person. That's why you helped me." Derek nodded and unable to speak. Monica tried to sit up better on the mattress. "Derek, I don't know what to say. It's as if my mother sent you to us." Derek took a deep breath, feeling something shift inside him. It wasn't a coincidence. It couldn't be a coincidence. "Monica," he said, his voice firm, "I need you to let me help. This isn't charity. It's a debt. Elena gave me everything when I was a child. Now it's my turn to repay it." "Derek." "No," he interrupted. "Listen, you need to go to the hospital. Today. Now. And Nora needs to have a normal childhood, not be wandering around downtown looking for money." Monica started to protest, but Derek raised a hand. "Elena taught me that when you can help, you help. She taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about taking care of each other. And you two..." He looked at Monica, then at Nora. "You are family." Monica cried harder. "She would say that," she said. "She always said you would come back one day." Derek stood up and went to Monica. "We're going to the hospital." "Now, I don't have money for the hospital." "I do," Derek said simply, "and I'm going to buy all the medicine you need, and I'm going to help with everything you need until you're well." Monica looked at him for a long moment. "Why would you do that?" Derek looked at the photo of Elena on the wall, then at Nora, who was holding his hand. "Because Elena taught me that when you receive love, you have to pass that love on. And you two, you are the chance I have to honor her memory." Monica finally nodded. "Okay," she said. "But on one condition." "What's that?" "You don't do this out of pity or obligation. You do it because you really want to, because you care about us." Derek smiled for the first time since he had entered the house. "Monica, I care about you two more than I've been able to care about anything in the last 20 years. He turned to Nora. "And you, young lady, are you going to help me take care of your mom?" Nora nodded vigorously. "Always." Derek looked around the little house one more time. Elena had taken care of him when he needed it most. Now it was his turn to take care of her family. "Then let's go," he said, helping Monica to her feet. "Let's start fixing all of this." And for the first time in decades, Derek Harper felt he was exactly where he was supposed to be. 2 weeks after the hospital visit, Derek had established a routine he wouldn't have imagined possible a month earlier. Every morning, before heading to the office, he would stop by the pharmacy to pick up Monica's medications. After work, instead of going straight home as he always did, he would stop at the supermarket and buy groceries for the family. Nothing extravagant: rice, beans, chicken, vegetables, milk, fruit. Simple things that would make a real difference in their diet. Monica had resisted at first, even sick. She tried to maintain her dignity, insisting they didn't need help. But Derek found a way around her pride. "Elena fed me for 4 years," he said during one of those first visits, placing the grocery bags on the small kitchen table. "Consider this back pay." Monica smiled, but still seemed uncomfortable. "Derek, this is too much. You don't have to." "I know I don't have to," Derek interrupted, starting to put the groceries away. "I want to. There's a difference." Nora appeared in the kitchen, curious to see what Derek had brought. When she saw the fruit, her eyes lit up. "Apples," she exclaimed, grabbing a shiny red one. "It's been a long time since we've had apples." Derek felt that familiar tightness in his chest, but this time it was different. It wasn't just sadness for their situation. It was also a deep satisfaction in knowing that something as simple as an apple could bring so much joy to a child. From that day on, Monica stopped protesting so much. The medications the doctor had prescribed began to take effect quickly. Monica still coughed, but not as often. She could sit up for longer periods. Her appetite started to return, and little by little the color came back to her face. "You seem different," Derek commented one afternoon, sitting in the chair next to Monica's mattress. "How so?" "More cheerful, more present." Monica smiled. "It's because for the first time in a long time, I'm not worried. I'm not wondering what we're going to eat tomorrow, or if I'll be able to buy medicine, or if Nora is going without. It's a strange feeling, you know? Not being scared all the time." Derek understood perfectly. He remembered what that feeling was like. The relief of knowing there was food in the fridge, that there was money for basic necessities. It was something that those who had always had money took for granted, but for those who had gone without, it was an incredible luxury. Nora was changing too. The serious, overly responsible little girl was still there, but Derek began to see glimpses of the 5-year-old child she truly was. She laughed more, asked more questions, played make-believe. One day, Derek found her talking to her imaginary pigeons in the living room, making up names for each of them. "This one is Roberto," she said, pointing to an empty corner of the room. "And that one over there is Mrs. Francesca. She's the oldest of the group." Derek sat on the floor next to her. "And what are they doing?" "They're planning a birthday party for Pedro. He's turning 7 tomorrow. Is Pedro the brown pigeon that's always near the fruit stand?" Nora stopped and looked at Derek in surprise. "You remember the pigeons?" "I remember all of them," Derek said, "including Mrs. Francesca. She's a bit bossy, isn't she?" Nora let out a genuine laugh, the most beautiful sound Derek had heard in a long time. It was Derek's idea to bring some toys for Nora. Nothing expensive or flashy. Some coloring books, colored pencils, a small teddy bear. He was careful not to overdo it, because he didn't want Monica to feel uncomfortable. "Derek, you didn't have to," Monica said when she saw the gifts. "Every child should have at least a few toys," Derek replied simply. Nora hugged the teddy bear so tightly that Derek realized it was probably the first new toy she had received in a long time. "What should I name him?" she asked. "What do you like?" Derek asked. Nora thought for a moment. "I'm going to call him Hope, because it was hope that brought you into our lives." Derek had to hide the tears that came to his eyes. The daily visits became Derek's favorite part of the day. After years of living only for work, he discovered something he had completely forgotten: the satisfaction of feeling needed and loved. Monica began to tell stories about her childhood, about Elena, about how hard it had been to raise Nora alone. Derek, in turn, began to talk about his life, not about business or money, but about what it was like to grow up without a father, about the loneliness of recent years, about how he had lost touch with everything that truly mattered. You know she talked about you until the end, Monica said in one of these conversations. My mother, she said you were special. That you had a good heart, but you were lost. She was right, Derek admitted. I was lost. I no longer knew who I was beyond a man who made money. And now? Derek looked at Nora, who was drawing on the floor beside them, focused on coloring a picture of a family. Now I'm discovering who I really am. As the days went by, Derek realized he was rediscovering feelings he had buried long ago. The joy of making someone smile, the satisfaction of solving real problems in real people's lives, the simple pleasure of a conversation without a business motive. He had forgotten what it was like to genuinely care about other people, what it was like to look forward to seeing someone not for professional reasons, but out of affection. What it was like to feel that his presence truly made a difference in someone's life. One night, after a particularly good visit where Monica had managed to stand up and walk a little around the house, Derek returned to his apartment and looked at himself in the mirror. The man looking back was still the same physically, but there was something different in his eyes, a light that hadn't been there for weeks. He was feeling alive again. It was on a Wednesday that Derek found out about the debts. He arrived for his usual visit and found Monica crying in the kitchen with some papers scattered on the table. What happened? Derek asked immediately. Nothing, Monica said, trying to hide the papers. Everything's fine. Monica, it's clearly not fine. What are these papers? Monica hesitated for a moment, then sighed. They're the bills. Rent, electricity, water, all overdue. The landlord has already been here twice this week. He said if I don't pay by Friday, he's going to... Her voice broke. Going to what? He's going to evict us. We're going to have to leave the house. Derek felt a cold anger rise in his chest. How could someone threaten to evict a sick woman with a small child? How much do you owe? He asked, sitting down next to Monica. Derek, no. You've already done so much. How much? Monica looked at the papers. 3 months' rent, 2 electricity bills, 1 water bill, and a few other small things. In total, she calculated quickly, almost $2,000. Derek nodded. To him, $2,000 was what he'd spend on a night out at an expensive restaurant. For Monica, it was an impossible mountain to climb. Where are the offices for these companies? Derek asked, Why? Because I'm going to take care of this tomorrow. Derek, no, I can't let you pay our debts. You're not letting me. I'm deciding, Derek said firmly. And it's not charity. It's an investment. An investment in what? Derek looked at Nora, who was playing in the living room, unaware of the conversation happening in the kitchen. In a family. In a future. In something that's worth much more than money. Monica started crying again, but this time they weren't tears of despair. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to thank me. You just need to keep getting better. You just need to let Nora be a kid. You just need to trust me. The next day, Derek canceled all his morning meetings. He went to the landlord's office first. The man was exactly as Derek had imagined, a grumpy, middle-aged man who clearly didn't care about Monica's difficult situation. Oh, so you're her boyfriend, the landlord said when Derek introduced himself. I'm a family friend, Derek replied coldly, and I'm here to settle all her debts. The man was surprised, but his attitude quickly changed when Derek took out his checkbook. Well, of course, I can take the payment right now. Derek wrote the check, but before handing it over, he stared hard at the man. I want to make one thing clear. Monica is sick and recovering. She's a single mother to a young child. If you threaten to evict them again, or if you arbitrarily raise the rent, or if you create any unnecessary problems for them, you'll have to deal with me. Understood? Derek's tone made it clear it wasn't a suggestion. The landlord nodded quickly and took the check. Derek repeated the process at the electric company and the water company. At each place, he not only paid off the overdue debts but also paid a few months in advance. He wanted Monica to have peace of mind, at least for a while. When he returned to their house later that afternoon, he found Monica and Nora in the living room. Monica was sitting on the sofa, no longer on the mattress on the floor, and Nora was reading one of the books Derek had brought. How was your day? Derek asked, sitting in a chair. Good, Monica said. I managed to be on my feet most of the time. I even cooked a little. That's great. And you, Nora? How was your day? Good. I taught Hope how to read, Nora said, showing him the teddy bear. She's not very good yet, but she's getting better. Derek smiled. Oh, come, Monica, he said, as if it were an unimportant detail. I took care of some paperwork for you today. Rent and bills. You won't have to worry about that for a while. Monica looked at him in surprise. Derek, you didn't do what I think you did. I did what needed to be done. And before you protest, let me explain something. Elena gave me stability when I was a child. She gave me the security of knowing I had a safe place to come back to every day. Now it's my turn to give you that same security. Monica was silent for a long moment. You didn't do this just because of my mother, did you? She asked finally. Derek looked at her, then at Nora, then around the small house that was already beginning to feel more like a home and less like a place where people were just trying to survive. No, he admitted. I did it because you two have become important to me, because for the first time in years, I feel like I'm part of something that matters. Because you gave me back something I had lost. What? Derek thought about the answer. The ability to love, the ability to care, the ability to feel that my life has a purpose beyond making money. Nora dropped her book and ran to Derek, climbing into his lap. You're important to us too, she said, hugging his neck. Very, very important. Derek hugged her back, feeling something warm and complete spreading through his chest. For the first time in decades, Derek Harper felt at home, and it wasn't in his expensive penthouse downtown. It was here, in this simple little house, with a brave woman who was recovering and a child who still believed in miracles. It was here that he had found what he didn't know he was looking for, a family. It was a particularly beautiful Saturday afternoon when Derek decided to do something different. Nora, he said, arriving at Monica's house with a smile on his face. How about we go out for a walk? Nora was on the living room floor, playing with Hope and some wooden blocks Derek had brought the week before. She looked up, curious. A walk where? There's a park about 20 minutes from here. I thought you might like to see it. Monica, who was sitting on the sofa flipping through a magazine Derek had brought, smiled. What a great idea. Nora, do you want to go? Can I bring Hope? Nora asked, hugging the teddy bear. Of course, Derek said. Hope needs some fresh air too. Nora ran to get a small, worn-out backpack from a corner of the room. Derek watched her carefully place the bear inside, along with a few other items he couldn't quite see. Ready, she announced. Derek said goodbye to Monica with a kiss on the forehead, a gesture that had become natural between them in recent weeks. Take care, Monica said, and Derek, thank you for everything. No need to thank me, Derek replied, as he always did. The walk to the park was full of conversation. Nora talked about the pigeons she had seen that morning, about a strange dream she'd had the night before, about how Hope was learning to be brave. Derek listened to her with full attention, something he had never done with anyone before, giving his complete and genuine attention to another person. The park was small but well kept. There were a few large trees that offered shade, a simple playground, and some benches scattered along the paths. There weren't many people, just a few families with small children and some elderly people feeding birds. It's pretty here, Nora said, looking around in awe. It is, Derek agreed. Would you like to play on the playground? Nora looked at the swings and slides but shook her head. Can I just stay here with you? It's nice when it's just the two of us talking. Derek felt that familiar warmth in his chest. He had gotten used to this feeling in recent weeks, the feeling of being genuinely wanted and appreciated. They found a large tree with ample shade and sat on the ground, leaning against the trunk. Nora took Hope out of the backpack and placed him on her lap. For a few minutes, they sat in comfortable silence, just watching people pass by. A family with two small children was playing near the playground. Derek saw Nora watching them intently. Would you like to have siblings? Derek asked. Sometimes, Nora said, it would be nice to have someone to play with, but it would also be one more person for my mom to worry about. So I think it's better if it's just me. Derek was impressed, as always, by the maturity of her answer. A 5-year-old thinking about her mother's financial struggles before wishing for a sibling. Have you ever thought about going to school? Derek asked. Nora's eyes lit up immediately. Every day, she said, with an enthusiasm Derek hadn't seen before. I dream about it. I want to learn to read and write like the other kids. You don't know how to read. I know a little bit. My mom taught me some letters and some small words, but I can't read real books yet. When you bring those coloring books that have words, I pretend I know how to read, but really I just make up the stories by looking at the pictures. Derek felt a pang in his chest. Nora had missed the normal age to start school because of her family's financial situation. And what else would you like to learn? Everything, Nora said, her eyes shining. I want to learn about numbers, about the countries of the world, about animals, about the stars. My grandma used to tell me stories about faraway places, and I always wanted to know if they were real or if she was making them up. They're real, Derek said, all of them. And one day you'll be able to learn about all those places. Do you really think so? I'm sure of it. Nora was quiet for a moment, fiddling with Hope's ears. Derek, she said finally, her voice lower. Can I tell you something? You can tell me anything. Sometimes I get sad because I don't have a dad. Derek felt a lump forming in his throat. Do you want to talk about it? Nora nodded. My mom told me my dad was a good man, but he got sick when I was very little and died. I don't remember anything about him. Not his face, not his voice, not what it was like to be hugged by him. Derek had to swallow hard to be able to speak. That must be very difficult. It is, Nora admitted, especially when I see other kids with their dads. I wonder what it would be like to have someone to take me to the park, to teach me things, to tell me stories before bed. Derek looked at Nora, at this child who had faced so many losses in such a short life. Doesn't your mom tell you stories? She does, but she always gets very tired. And I know she tries hard to be both a mom and a dad, but it must be hard for her too. They sat in silence for a few minutes. Derek was struggling with the emotion growing in his chest. Finally, Nora spoke again. Derek? Yes. Do you know what it's like not to have a dad? Derek took a deep breath. I do. My dad also died when I was little. Actually, I never even got to meet him. So, you understand? I understand. Nora turned to look directly at Derek. You know what I think sometimes? What? I think that maybe you're like the dad I never had. The words hit Derek like a lightning bolt. He felt tears starting to form in his eyes. You think that? I do, Nora said, smiling shyly. You take me for walks. You worry about me. You talk to me about important things. You make me feel safe. I think that's what it must be like to have a dad. Derek couldn't hold back the tears anymore. They began to fall silently down his face. Nora, he started, but couldn't finish. Are you crying? She asked, moving closer to him. I am, Derek admitted. But they're good tears. Why are they good? Derek put his arm around Nora, pulling her closer. Because you just gave me the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. What gift? The gift of feeling like I'm important to someone. Of feeling that my presence makes a real difference in the life of a special person. Nora snuggled against Derek. You're very important to me, she said. You changed everything in our lives. Derek hugged her tighter, feeling something inside him become whole. For years he had focused on building financial empires, on accumulating wealth, on gaining professional recognition. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had compared to the feeling of being genuinely loved by a child who saw him as a father figure. You changed everything in my life too, Derek said. You taught me how to feel again. You taught me that there's something more important than money. What's more important? Love. Family. Having people who truly care about you. They hugged for a while, watching the clouds drift across the sky. Derek felt as if a piece of his humanity that had been lost long ago was being returned to him. It was Nora who broke the silence. Derek, I want to give you something. You don't have to give me anything. I want to, she said, pulling away from the hug and reaching for her backpack. She rummaged inside the backpack for a few seconds and then pulled out something that made Derek's heart stop. It was the lottery ticket. The ticket he had bought for her that first day at the convenience store. It was a little yellowed and crumpled, but still recognizable. Nora, Derek said, surprised. You kept the ticket all this time?" "I did," she said, holding the paper carefully. "I never checked if it won anything because the important thing wasn't winning, it was having something to believe in." Derek took the ticket gently. "Why are you giving this to me now?" Nora smiled, and it was the sweetest smile Derek had ever seen. "Because I want you to have it, but it's yours." "No," Nora interrupted. "Listen, when I asked you to play this ticket, I was hoping for a miracle to save my mom. I had faith in the ticket, but you were my miracle." Derek felt the tears returning. "Nora, you came into my life exactly when I needed you most. You took care of my mom. You gave us food and medicine and hope. You gave me affection and attention. It was good that you came into my life. So now I want you to have the ticket, as a reminder that sometimes miracles happen in ways we don't expect." Derek looked at the ticket in his hands, then at Nora, then back at the ticket. He was completely moved. "I will keep this forever," he said. "Promise?" "I promise." They spent some more time at the park, talking about future plans, about the school Nora would soon be attending, about trips Derek wanted to take with her and Monica. As the sun began to set, they decided to head home. On the way back, Derek put the ticket in his shirt pocket, right over his heart. He had no intention of checking the numbers. The real value of that piece of paper had nothing to do with money. When they got home, they found Monica in the kitchen, preparing a simple dinner that smelled wonderful. "How was your walk?" she asked, smiling as she saw them come in. "It was perfect," Derek replied, helping Nora take off her backpack. "I told Derek about my dream of going to school," Nora said, hugging her mother. "And what did he say?" "That one day I'll learn about all the countries in the world and about the stars too." Monica looked at Derek with gratitude. "Thank you for giving her hope, for both of us." Derek smiled, feeling the ticket in his shirt pocket. "You gave me much more than hope," he said. "You gave me a family." Nora ran to get Hope from her backpack and show Monica how the teddy bear had behaved so well at the park. Derek watched the scene, mother and daughter chatting excitedly about the outing, and felt a deep peace settle in his heart. He touched the ticket in his pocket one more time. It didn't matter if that paper was worth any money or not. He had already won the real prize. It was right there in that simple house, surrounded by genuine love and the kind of wealth that couldn't be bought or sold. Derek Harper had finally found what he didn't even know he was looking for, a place where he belonged, people who loved him for who he was, not what he had. The miracle Nora had asked for that first day at the convenience store had come true in a way none of them could have imagined. It wasn't the ticket that changed their lives. It was the meeting of two hearts that needed each other. Derek arrived home that night still feeling the emotional weight of the day in the park. The lottery ticket was tucked away in his wallet, and he had touched it several times on the way once, as if it were a talisman. He made a coffee and sat on his penthouse sofa. But for the first time in weeks, the luxurious apartment no longer seemed important. His mind was completely occupied with the conversation he'd had with Nora, with the moment she had said he was like the father she never had. Derek took the ticket out of his wallet and placed it on the coffee table. It was a simple piece of paper, already somewhat yellowed with age, but it carried so much meaning. Nora had kept that ticket for weeks as a symbol of hope, and now she had given it to him as a gift of love. Out of curiosity, and perhaps an intuition he couldn't explain, Derek decided to check the numbers. He picked up his phone and went to the lottery website. He easily found the results section and typed in the date of the drawing that corresponded to when he had bought the ticket. The winning numbers appeared on the screen: 3, 7, 12, 21, 35, 42. Derek looked at the ticket in his hands. He looked again at the phone screen. He checked each number 2, 3 times. 3, 7, 12, 21, 35, and 42. They were the exact same numbers. Derek sank deeper into the sofa, trying to process what he was seeing. The ticket that Nora had kept with such care, the ticket she had chosen to give him as a symbol that he had been her true miracle, was a winning ticket. But the emotion that overcame him was not joy for the money. It was something much deeper. It was the absolute confirmation that everything, absolutely everything, had happened for a reason. Derek didn't believe in coincidences, And this was far beyond any possible coincidence. Nora had appeared in his life at the exact moment he most needed to rediscover his humanity. He had appeared in her life at the exact moment she most needed help. And now the ticket, the symbol of faith that had united them from the beginning, was revealed to be a winner. Derek closed his eyes and felt a deep emotion wash over him. It wasn't about the money. It was about purpose. It was about the certainty that some things in life are bigger than us, bigger than our understanding. He spent the entire night awake, holding the ticket and thinking about the best way to tell Monica and Nora. When the sun came up, Derek knew exactly what to do. He arrived at their house on Sunday morning, earlier than usual. Monica was in the kitchen making coffee, and Nora was in the living room playing with Hope and some wooden blocks. "Good morning," Derek said, kissing Monica on the forehead as he had grown accustomed to doing. "Good morning," Monica replied, smiling. "You seem different today. Did something happen?" "It did," Derek said. "Actually, I need to talk to you both about something important." Nora looked up, curious. "Is it good news or bad news?" she asked. Derek smiled. "It's very, very good news." They sat in the living room, Monica on the sofa, Nora on the floor with Hope in her lap, and Derek in a chair facing them. "Remember the lottery ticket Nora gave me yesterday?" Derek began. "I remember," Nora said. "Did you keep it like I asked?" "I did. And last night, I decided to check the numbers." Monica frowned. "Derek, you're not going to tell me that." "The ticket won," Derek said simply. The silence that followed was absolute. Monica stared at Derek as if she hadn't quite understood. Nora tilted her head to the side, confused. "Won how?" Nora asked. "It won the jackpot," Derek said. "The numbers you chose that first day, the numbers that had special meaning to you, were the winning numbers." Monica brought her hands to her face. "It can't be," she murmured. "It can be, and it is," Derek said, taking the ticket from his pocket and showing it to them. 3, 7, 12, 21, 35, and 42. Numbers that tell the story of our family. Nora got up and ran to Derek. "Does this mean we're rich now?" Derek picked Nora up and put her on his lap. "This means you'll never have to worry about money again, that you can go to the best school we can find, that your mom can get treatment at the best hospital, that you'll have a beautiful, safe house." Monica began to cry. They were not tears of sadness, but of relief, of disbelief, of gratitude. "Derek, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Derek replied. "You just have to accept that our life is going to change, for the better." Nora hugged Derek's neck tightly. "You bought the ticket. The money is yours." Derek shook his head. "The ticket was bought with the numbers you chose, and you gave me the ticket as a gift. This money is ours. It belongs to our family." Monica got up from the sofa and went to Derek and Nora, hugging them both at the same time. They stayed like that for a few minutes, just holding each other, feeling the weight of the change that was to come. In the weeks that followed, Derek organized everything with care and attention to detail. The first thing he did was look for a house, not something extravagant or ostentatious, but a beautiful, safe house in a good neighborhood, with a yard for Nora to play in and enough rooms for each of them to have their own space. "I don't want anything too big," Monica said when they visited the first option. "I just want it to be ours." "It will be ours," Derek promised. The house they chose was perfect. 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, a large kitchen, a cozy living room, and a yard with a big tree where Nora could hang a swing. It was in a safe neighborhood with quiet streets and friendly neighbors. "Giant, it's beautiful," Nora said, running from room to room on their first visit. "Can I choose which one will be my room?" "You can choose whichever one you want," Derek replied. She chose the room with a large window from which she could see the tree in the yard. "I'll be able to watch the birds from here," she explained, "and talk to them in the morning." The move was quick and smooth. Derek hired a moving company and also bought new furniture. Nothing too expensive, but everything comfortable and beautiful. Monica insisted on keeping a few things from the old house, especially the photo of Elena. "She has to come with us," Monica said. "She's the one who started all of this." "Of course she's coming," Derek agreed. "She'll have a place of honor in the new living room." For Nora, Derek had a special surprise. He researched and found one of the best elementary schools in the area, not the most expensive, but the one with the best reputation for caring for its children and quality of teaching. "Nora," he said one afternoon, as they were arranging her room in the new house, "I have some news for you." "What news?" "On Monday, you're going to start school." Nora's eyes widened. "Really? Really? And it's not just any school. It's a school where you'll learn to read real books, where you'll learn about all the countries in the world, about the stars, about math, about everything you've ever wanted to know." Nora jumped off the bed and hugged Derek so tightly she nearly knocked him over. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she repeated, crying with joy. "You deserve this and so much more," Derek said, hugging her back. On the first day of school, Derek and Monica took Nora together. She was nervous, but also excited, wearing a new backpack and a uniform Derek had bought. "What if I can't keep up with the other kids?" she asked on the way. "You will," Monica said. "You're smart and brave, and if you have trouble with anything, the teacher will help. And we'll help too," Derek added. "Every night, if you want, we can do homework together." When they arrived at the school, Nora was impressed by the beautiful building, the large playground and the children playing and laughing. "It's bigger than I imagined," she said. The teacher, a kind woman named Mrs. Anderson, greeted Nora with a warm smile. "Welcome, Nora. We're so happy to have you here." "Thank you," Nora said, looking around the classroom. "It's very pretty in here." When Derek and Monica said goodbye to her at the school gate, Nora waved confidently. "I'm going to learn so many things today," she said, "and tonight I'll tell you all about it." On the way back home, Monica and Derek walked in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. "Can you believe it?" Monica asked finally. "Believe what?" "All of this. 2 months ago we were desperate. I was sick. Nora was alone downtown looking for miracles. And now," she looked around at the beautiful neighborhood, at the new house approaching. "Now it feels like we're living a dream." Derek smiled. "It's not a dream. It's real life. It's what happens when good people find each other and decide to take care of one another." "You changed our lives," Monica said. "You changed mine," Derek replied. "Completely. I was lost, Monica, rich but lost. You showed me what really matters." They arrived at Monica and Nora's house, a place that now had a completely new meaning for Derek. It was no longer just a house he visited. It was the place where he had a real family. It was where Monica hummed while she cooked. It was where Nora told stories to Hope. It was where he felt loved and needed. Derek still lived in his penthouse, still had his own life, but now that life had purpose, it had people who genuinely cared about him, and people he cared about in return. Family didn't have to mean living in the same house. Family meant love, care, presence, and for the first time in his life, Derek Harper had a real family. 3 months had passed since the move to the new house, and Derek noticed a significant change in Monica. She was no longer the frail, sick woman he had found on that mattress on the floor. Proper medical treatment, regular meals, and most importantly, the absence of financial worries had restored a vitality to her that Derek imagined had always been there, just hidden by the daily struggle for survival. Nora was adapting wonderfully to school. Every night she came home with stories about what she had learned, the new friends she was making, and the books she could finally read on her own. But it was on a Thursday morning that Monica made an announcement that surprised everyone. "I want to do something," she said, as they had breakfast in the new kitchen. Derek looked up from his newspaper. "What kind of thing?" "Something useful, something that makes me feel like I'm contributing, that I have a purpose beyond just existing." Derek put the newspaper aside. "Monica, you have a purpose. You're Nora's mother. You're recovering." "I know," Monica interrupted, "and I'm grateful for all of it. But now that I'm well, that Nora is in school, that our basic needs are met, I want to do something that's mine, something I've always dreamed of doing but never could." "And what would that be?" Monica smiled, and Derek saw a flash of something he hadn't seen in a long time. Ambition, a dream, hope for the future. "I want to open a cake shop." Derek blinked a few times. "A cake shop?" "Yes," Monica said. enthusiasm growing in her voice. "It's always been my dream. My mother made the most delicious cakes in the world, and she taught me all her recipes. I always wanted to have my own bakery, but I never had the money to start." Derek leaned back in his chair. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "I am," Monica said with conviction. "I want to work. I want to have something that's mine. I want to show Nora that it's possible to chase your dreams." Derek smiled. "Then let's open a cake shop." "Derek, no. You've already done so much for us." "Monica," Derek interrupted her. "When I say let's, I mean let's work together. You with the talent and passion, me with the business knowledge. Partners." Monica looked at him for a long moment. "You would do that?" "I would. In fact, I think it's a brilliant idea." In the following weeks, Derek and Monica dedicated themselves completely to the project. They looked for commercial spaces, visited suppliers, studied the competition, and created a business plan. Derek was impressed with Monica's determination and intelligence. "The important thing isn't just making delicious cakes," Monica explained. "It's creating a place where people feel welcome, where they want to come not just to buy, but to chat, to relax." They found the perfect spot on a busy street. It was a small but cozy space, with a large display window where they could showcase the cakes and a few tables where customers could sit. "It's perfect," Monica said on their first visit. "I can picture exactly how it will look." The renovation was quick. Derek hired the best professionals, but Monica made sure to be part of every decision. She chose the wall colors, a soft yellow that reminded her of the inside of a lemon cake. She selected the furniture, light wood tables with comfortable chairs. "You have a talent for this," Derek commented, watching Monica explain to the carpenter exactly how she wanted the counter. "It's because I love what I'm doing," she replied. "It makes a difference when you're building a dream." Nora was excited about the project. Every day after school, she wanted to know how the shop's progress was going. "Can I help?" She would always ask. "Of course you can," Monica would reply. "You can be my official recipe tester." And that's exactly what Nora became. Every night, Monica tried different recipes, and Nora gave her honest opinion on each one. "This one is good, but yesterday's chocolate one was better," she would say, thoughtfully chewing a piece of carrot cake. The shop's opening was set for a Monday morning. Monica was nervous, but Derek could see it was a good kind of nervous. "What if no one shows up?" she asked the night before. "They'll show up," Derek assured her. "And when they taste your cakes, they'll come back and bring their friends." Derek was right. On the first day, only a few curious customers appeared. But on the second day, 2 of the people who had visited on the first day came back and brought others. By the third day, customers who had heard about the shop started showing up. In 2 weeks, Monica's Sweet Dreams, the name they had chosen, already had a regular clientele. Derek would stop by every morning before work and every afternoon after work. Not because Monica needed supervision, but because he enjoyed being a part of it. He liked talking to the customers, seeing Monica in her element. "You have a special talent," an elderly lady told Monica one afternoon. "It's not just the taste, it's the love you put into every slice." Monica smiled, and Derek saw tears of joy in her eyes. The shop quickly became more than just a business. It became a neighborhood meeting point. People came for breakfast before work, for an afternoon snack, to buy cakes for special occasions. Monica knew each regular customer by name, knew their preferences, and asked about their families. "This woman has a gift," Derek commented to one of the regulars. "It's not just the gift for making cakes," the man replied. "It's the gift for making people feel important." Derek knew exactly what he meant. Monica had the rare ability to make each person feel special, heard, and welcome. Nora also became part of the shop's charm. After school, she would do her homework at one of the back tables, and the regulars would always stop to chat with her. "That girl is going places," one of the customers commented to Derek. "Smart like her mother, but with a special sweetness all her own." "She really is," Derek agreed, watching Nora help Monica arrange the display case. 3 months after opening, the shop was an established success. Monica had hired a part-time employee to help during peak hours. "I never thought I could do it," Monica said to Derek one evening after they had closed the shop. I always knew you could, Derek replied. How? Because I saw the way you raised Nora. I saw the way you faced your illness. Anyone capable of all that is capable of anything. Monica stopped walking and looked at Derek. Thank you, she said, for believing in me, for giving me this chance. Thank you, Derek replied, for showing me what it means to have a real purpose. It was on a Sunday afternoon, a few weeks later, that Derek showed up at Monica and Nora's house carrying a picture frame. What's that? Nora asked, curious as always. It's a surprise, Derek said with a mysterious smile. For both of you. They gathered in the living room. Derek placed the frame on the coffee table, still face down. I found this among my old things, Derek explained, and I thought you'd like to see it. He turned the frame over. It was the same photo they had on the wall, but this was the original, larger, clearer, in more vibrant colors. A young, smiling Elena holding a little Derek on her lap. But this time, the photo was in a beautiful frame, fitting for the importance it deserved. Monica brought her hands to her face. Derek, where did you find this? It was in a box of things from my childhood that I had never opened. When I saw it, I knew I had to bring it to you. Nora moved closer to the photo, studying every detail. You were so little, she said, smiling, and my grandma looked so happy. She was happy, Derek said. Taking care of me was one of the happiest times of her life, and this is where it all began. Monica stood up and went to the wall where the old photo was hanging. She took it down carefully and put the new one in its place. Now she has the place of honor she deserves, Monica said. There's still one thing missing, Derek said. What? Derek took his phone out of his pocket. A new photo, to put next to this one. He positioned Nora and Monica on one side of Elena's photo and stood on the other side. With his arm outstretched, he took a picture of the three of them together, with Elena's image in the background. Perfect, he said, looking at the result. I'll print it and bring it next week. When the new photo was ready and placed next to the old one, the symbolism was clear and emotional. On one side, Elena with a young Derek, the past that had planted the seeds of love. On the other side, an adult Derek with Monica and Nora, the present flourishing from those seeds planted decades ago. The circle is complete, Monica said, looking at the two photos. No, Derek corrected her. The circle is beginning, because now Nora will grow up knowing what it's like to be loved, knowing what it's like to have a family, and one day she'll pass that love on too. Nora approached Derek and took his hand. Will you always be part of our family? She asked. Derek crouched down to her level. Always. No matter what happens, the three of us will always be family. Promise, I promise. That night, when Derek returned to his penthouse, he sat on the sofa and looked around. The apartment was the same, luxurious, immaculate, empty. But Derek no longer felt empty. He had found something no money in the world could buy, a family that loved him for who he was, not what he had, a child who saw him as a father, a woman who had become like a sister, a purpose that went beyond profits and spreadsheets. Derek took out his phone and looked at the photo he had taken that afternoon. Nora smiling between him and Monica, with Elena's image in the background, as if she were blessing this new family. The miracle Nora had asked for that day at the convenience store hadn't been the winning ticket. The miracle had been much bigger, much deeper. The miracle had been the reunion of hearts that had never stopped searching for each other, even without knowing they were searching. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.